Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bucks.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat
It looks
Donovan.
like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho! Howdy hey! How the hell are y'all, everybody? Happy Saturday, March Madness in full swing of things. Oh boy, it feels beautiful, wonderful, and great to be back. Fantastic to be back, although the show never left. It was a great week of the program, the past 8 days or so, with the great Gene and J-Lo filling in. That was tremendous. They're great people, so it was great to watch from afar. It was great to watch from Mexico, California, and we got Gene in for a little bit here. Gene, how you doing, brother? Long time no talk. Great stuff. I enjoyed your episodes, and it was cool watching you guys do your thing.
Man, thanks a lot, man. I hope we didn't burn the house down or anything like that. I thought we had a good show. Me and J-Lo vibe good, man. It was a lot of information, and we had a great time.
Yeah, I don't think you guys burnt the house down. If anything, you turned it up the notch in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? You guys were cooking out there a little bit better than Russell Wilson, may I add in as well. So much appreciated. Hey, I see you in your Kansas Jayhawk shirt, and I'm on board with you, Gene, because I'm in a random pick'em pool, and my random team was Kansas. So the farther they go, the more money I win. So I'm right there with you.
KU alumni, baby. Rock chalk.
I will say I was a little heartbroken last night as my Cinderella, well, not Cinderella, but I had St. Mary's doing numbers. I had them going to the Final Four, and we seen what happened. Grand Canyon said, no, we're going to upend you. And, man, I didn't realize how little St. Mary's depth was. But that's a whole other podcast we could talk about. I was just disappointed in the Gales. J-Lo, speaking of disappointed, sorry about your Gators, brother. But at least they made it. My Nittany Lions didn't even sniff the big dance.
Yeah, tragedy, man. They were missing their starting center. It broke his leg in the championship game. I think missing him was a key part of them losing because their defense just let up the whole game. So it's what it is, but I'm proud of my team. I love my Gators.
Yeah, you got to be proud of the guys for making the tournament in a year that some didn't think they would. And we have my man Tyler Sharp joining. Those jerseys on the back are fire. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it greatly, Tyler. That's great coming from a guy like you. I mean, Tyler's got like crazy jerseys. This guy's got a Gronk jersey. This guy's got a Evans jersey, a Baker jersey. He has a Baker Mayfield game-worn jersey from the Falcons-Bucs game this year, actually. So this guy's collection is legit. So coming from a guy like him, that's very much so appreciated. Gene, I know we have you shortly, but we are inching towards a draft. We all said, you, J-Lo, and myself, and our other Buccaneers, Huncho and the guys, we all kind of were like, we got to wait to see how free agency shakes out a little bit before we get to some draft talk. Now we've seen free agency shake out a little bit. It's not done yet, but it has filling up a pretty good hole. And our man Bucs Graves Bolts has a prominent question. Who do you think the Bucs should target in draft? Now, whether it's a person or a position, Gene, is there any more clarity for you at this time in which direction you'd like the Bucs to go?
I think they did so good in free agency. I think they should grab the best player available, to be honest. I mean, I know some fans may think they're glaring holes, but I think they'll get filled. I mean, for me, I'd love to see an edge rusher. I would love to see an edge rusher. I think that's going to do nothing but help the secondary, because if you can get home with 4, that's less pressure that you have to put on your linebackers, your safeties, and your cornerbacks. So to me, I would look for an edge rusher, somebody that can get home. We've seen what JTS is JTS. Some of your other guys, Hall, he's slowly progressing. But to be honest, they just need a little bit more help on that line, in my opinion. That would be kind of where I would look as edge rusher.
Yeah, and I agree with Eugene. And even if Hall continues to progress, I think he's going to be more the brute run. He'll be more of like a Will Golston, in my opinion.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And that's
exactly.
great. Golston still had his moments with the quarterback, but my hope for Logan Hall is to be that boots on the ground guy. Hey, get in there, cause double teams, disrupt the running game. Make your presence felt on the ground. I agree, though. At this point in time, I'm going to go edge. And at first I was interior lineman and trade back. And then once we traded Carlton, I was like, maybe DB. But then we made a couple of good depth signings to shore up the cornerback room, in my opinion. And now I'm all in on edge. I'm like, money's in. It's like, if we don't get edge, I'm honestly going to be disappointed, I will say. And
I'm going to say one more thing.
yeah,
Uh, with all the other moves that are being made, just keep in mind the roster is fluid up until day one, so you don't know what can happen. I mean, we can look after the draft. We can look to June 1st, where a lot of cap casualties are going to occur around that time. So there may be a valuable piece to pick up there. And again, we don't know what you're going to see in the draft. So there's a lot of moves left to be made to make this team better and upgrade in positions compared to where we were last season.
and as Gene said, just because free agency is not done but slowing down, just because the draft is happening, the offseason, there's still crazy moves. I remember we signed Lenny F pretty late. That Khalil
Yep.
Mack was traded like a week before the season a couple years back when the Chargers sent him to Chicago. So, or not Chargers to Chicago, I'm sorry, when the Raiders sent him to Chicago. So,
Mm.
there's been some prolific moves that happened between the draft and kickoff week 1 of the NFL season. And you have that June wave of free agency, right? When you get some of those guys for cheaper because they quote unquote become stale on the market. You get that mini September free agency rush when you get some guys who shouldn't be cut from rosters that are. Other teams get to nab them up for the cheap. So it's the brunt of the offseason here. Still a lot to go. And the Bucs have a lot of moves to make. They're not done yet. I think Gene makes a great point. J-Lo, are you with Gene and I and Edge, or are you with our guy Elgato813? Welcome, sir, and going offensive line.
No, I'm with y'all guys. I think edge right now is probably the top priority, and hopefully one of those top three guys fall, which I think is possible depending on the offensive lineman situation. Because there's a lot of good linemen in this draft that's going to go in the first round. I would love, Jared Verse from Florida State or the other guy, Latu from UCLA. I think that would definitely be the icing of the cake, on the defense, in my opinion, on that. But here's a sleeper. Don't sleep on a wide receiver in the first round if those edges were not available and if JPJ's gone. And I know Barton's been a big one, in the mock drafts, but I think he's going to go before our pick, honestly. But wide receiver in the first round wouldn't surprise me. But I'm with you guys both. I think edge is probably the next key step because there's not many like starting edges, quality in the draft unless you want to get a rotational one, which I think we need like a legit starter to get after the quarterback so we're not always blitzing.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. We've seen edge kind of get picked on a little bit in this draft, saying it's not the deepest of edge classes, but that doesn't mean there aren't those shining diamonds that are just laying in the weeds. And Jason Light surely could do a great job at picking one of those guys, maybe in a later round than round 1. And we saw that last year with Yaya Diaby, right? So, hey, maybe Light does like a wide receiver, J-Lo, and maybe he does that. But to me, if I'm a Bucs fan personally, I would like to draft another mid-round wide receiver, and I'd like to try and extend Godwin now while you can somehow before he's able to hit the market. Gene, do you have any thoughts on that before we get to Huncho?
Yeah, what I look at Jason Light and that organization right now and their talent evaluation. They're finding players in the late rounds. They're finding undrafted free agents, and they're able to make the most of that. Christian Izien comes to mind last year. Trey Palmer is somebody that none of the Bucs fans were talking about until the season started and we got to see him. So I just kind of had to sit back and wait. Jason Light watches 10 million more hours of film than I ever will, and they know what they're doing. So, and to kind of go back to what J-Lo was saying, I really believe if they don't get edge rusher, they get the best player on the board, somebody that's going to help this team for years to come. So that's another thing to fall back on, is getting somebody that will be here, be part of that foundation that they've been building, like your Vita Veas, like Mike Evans, like Chris Godwin, these players, Antoine Winfield Jr., players that make this team, and all you have to do is plug and play other players in to make this team successful.
Yeah, and those are some great points too. And honestly, in a weird way, obviously we would have loved to see Devin White pan out for the long haul, but we kind of got the best out of that draft pick, and I'll explain it here for my reasoning briefly, although some might write him off as a bust or whatever, and I could see your case for a little bit of that. But my point is, I think we did great there. We drafted him, we had him for 5 years, and he was really good for 2.5, 3 of those years. He helped us win a Super Bowl. We didn't have to give him a second contract and quote unquote overpay, 18 to 20 million dollars on him,
Yeah.
and maybe cost us a guy like Godwin or Winfield or Evans. So to me, we honestly maximized our value out of Devin White. We got the most lemons we could squeeze out of that, and I'll never be disappointed in a draft pick that had such an important run to the Super Bowl. You really never know how far we go without Devin White. Sure, maybe a backup could do the same stuff. Maybe he does a lot worse. You never really know. And Devin White was an integral part of that run. Nobody could say otherwise. Without him, we probably don't make the magic happen that year. And we don't have to pay him, and now we don't have to deal with him in the media either. So to me, that might have been our most under the radar pick that some might write off as a bad one. I think it's a great one.
Oh, it definitely was a great one when you think about it. I mean, the splash plays that he made. I can't think of another linebacker within the last 9 years that's been playing. And we're going to exclude Levante David. I'm just saying, player in his position that's played like he has. He was an upgrade over whoever we had before, and I thought he played well. I wish him the best, and I hope his skin is thick going into Philly, because they eat their young and they don't mess around. So if you're slipping, everybody's going to let you know. I mean, I don't know, man. It's not a safe bet, man. That's probably the last place I would have wanted to play.
And for some reason, he seemed like he was trying to make his way over there for 2 years now.
Hey, that's on him, man. We'll see, because when he has one of those games where he goes rogue and gets smoked, that's what I'm waiting to see, how he reacts to that.
And Philly booed Santa Claus. Never forget that, folks. They literally booed Santa Claus, and that's how you could judge a fan base on how they treat the jolly old bastard in Santa. You don't treat him well, maybe that's a sign of things to come. But no, that's really true. And Gene, you made a great point too. And Huncho, have your draft mind ready. We had linebackers and nothing against these guys. They were good guys, and they had some splash plays before Devin White. But we had guys like Mason Foster, Riley Bola, Quan Alexander. I mean, these are the guys Bucs fans had to deal with. And again, Quan made some plays. Riley Bola had some moments on Hard Knocks that brought attention to the fan base. Mason Foster was not a bad linebacker, never great, but not bad. But they were never the type of splashy player that Devin White was. And now, well, I think we could replace him now. I think we got the most out of that. Huncho, what say you on both Devin White and the status of the Bucs heading into the draft? Do you agree with Elgato and go O-line? Do you go with the J-Lo approach of best player available? Do you go with an edge guy? What say you, Hunch?
Good afternoon, fellas. But
good afternoon, brother. Long time no talk.
Right.
Uh-oh. Did I scare him? I think we'll see if we get Hunch back. He'll be back, probably just a technical difficulty. So we'll save Hunch's thoughts on that. But, man, if you look at Hunch, glad to have you back. Sorry if I scared you.
I don't know what happened. With the addition of, with the subtraction of losing Shaq, we definitely need some edge help. And Joe Tryon Sharinka, he's been regressing, looks like, and he's more so of a rotational piece. So I agree 100%. We need edge help to get in. The guy from UCLA, I think he'll come in and he can add us some good speed and some power to that edge help to get to the quarterback. Because as you know, edge supports the coverage and you know what I'm saying, because you can't be out there covering for so long. You need actual pass rush and I think we actually need two guys really for edge more than one, because on the other side I'm not too sure what we're gonna do with we need some.
Probably rotate like Diaby and Nelson. I figure you kind of lock them in on one side, maybe, right? You say, hey, Yaya and
Yeah,
Nelson, you go over there. Because that's a pretty formidable duo. Not saying it's one of the best in football, but I'll take Diaby and Nelson rotation over a lot of
yeah,
those out there.
yeah. Diaby has a lot of upside to him, and I like how he came in as a rookie and he stepped up to the plate. But yeah, I think we definitely go edge round one, and from there we can work more so on the trenches and we in the linebacker. I don't know what we're gonna do to replace Devin, but we did play a couple games without him the end of the season and in the playoffs, and we looked it pretty good. So I mean, more help. I mean, best wishes to Devin White and his journey and him finally getting the Philly out the crime for like the last 2 years, trying to get over there and sending hearts up under their official page of the team and stuff like that. So he's over there where he wants to be, and he's talking like he's not downplaying Tampa, but he's kind of downplaying the fans. But as y'all said, Philly has some ferocious friends. I mean, some ferocious fans that he's gonna have to deal with. So we're gonna see. He likes to bark back at the fans, so we're gonna see how that turns out. And
And he
I
may want to hide his horse.
right,
Yeah,
right,
for real. We might end up
There's
with the
some
Godfather type
there's
situation.
some savages in Philly. I'm telling you, you better
yeah.
you better know what you're getting into.
Yeah, Devin got his hands full over there in Philly. He think Tampa was a place. He got his hands full. One bad player, one bad game, and he's buried over there in Philly. So
Yeah, look at how they treated some of their prolifics in the past. Allen Iversons of the world, Bryce Harpers of the world. These are guys that,
Mike Schmidt. They laughed at Mike. They were cheering for Mike Schmidt when he got hurt.
yep. And he might be one of you know, if you think of Philly baseball, you think of a guy like Mike Schmidt. So it's like, you know, these Phillies guys are just tougher people. They're tougher
now,
people and they're tougher fans. And I will say this though, with Devin departing, we have KJ, JJ, Servachier, Dennis. That ain't too shabby for a little young linebacker room to back him up, and we could still maybe draft one or bring in a veteran to add that. And I look for Servachier Dennis and KJ Britt to rotate at that second middle linebacker spot. Servachier on pass downs, KJ Britt on rush downs. Man, KJ Britt made some thumps last year, fellas. That guy was a bruiser. He was meeting people in the hole. He was cleaning up. I met KJ Britt and his dad at a golf outing, the Bruce Arians Family Foundation golf outing years ago. And I will say the nicest guys I met there. I met everybody was nice. Don't get me wrong. You know, Bruce, Elstott, Rondé, all those guys are nice. But in terms of like just being down incredible humans, KJ Britt and his dad were probably the two most guys that made the most memorable impression on me. His dad was like, he acted like I was like Tony Soprano or something. He's like, "Hey, come, let's go take a picture, man. Let's go, let's go." I'm like, "All right, cool, man." So I'll always be rooting for KJ Britt. He's a real good guy, and I think we do add one more linebacker to the room. Not sure if it comes in free agency or draft, but I'd probably say mid to late rounds of the draft because after this year, KJ Britt will be a free agent. JJ Russell's kind of on a year-to-year basis. Before you know it, Servachier Dennis will be halfway through his contract. Levante is on one of his last 1 or year 2. So, guys, I don't know about you, but I think we may aim for linebacker mid rounds, later rounds in the draft, mid linebacker.
Yeah, I think being fundamentally sound is better than making splash plays. I in basically last year kind of proved that. When you look at what Devin White did and how he played, those guys came in and played sound football for the most part. And again, you know, they're young, they're still learning the game, but like I said, for the most part, if you're fundamentally sound and you're not a liability in your position, you're helping this team. So I'm good with the move. I think it's mutually beneficial for both sides, and I honestly believe that the Bucs will they do great with linebackers. I mean, even Quan Alexander, as many times as that guy went rogue, he still was a good linebacker in his position. So I think that Jason Light learned from his mistakes, and I think he'll go out and get somebody that'll help this team.
And I do have an answer to Tobias Stark question, and I'll get to it in a
Hey,
minute.
Tobias, what's up, man? For all the way from Germany.
That's awesome. And I see Tobias everywhere. This guy's on YouTube. He's on X, Twitter, we're calling it. Sorry, it was a long vacation. I almost forgot my terminology there. But Tobias is awesome. And that's what I love about YouTube, or I guess I should just say podcasting more so. You get this, man. You get people from Germany checking in. We get our people from Canada checking in. You get people from around the world that get to listen to other fans and people talk Bucs ball, which is really incredible because you don't get that on, the German or Canadian airwaves. You're not going to just get your average local TV covering the Bucs too much, especially now that Brady's coming and gone. And thanks, guys. No, thank you for joining us on this Saturday, man. It's really our thanks to you, and really cool stuff. Olive says, welcome back, Huncho. Huncho, you got a fan out there? So that's good up.
Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, everything good? You all set
I'm
up?
just trying to get my own. Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
No, you good, brother. But yeah, he's back, and we do have a live crowd on Facebook
Thank
right
you.
now. Louis Montavo, Vera Principe. I mean, the OGs are out on Facebook. David Ferrara, the realtor in Tampa. You guys need any realty, go to David. We got the Godfather, James Rubright, in the house. So really, really good stuff there. Jeremy is a fan now. Jeremy, you're getting a shout out.
Yeah, my boy CJ. What it do, man? Diehard Butts fan. That's another good man right there. Known him for a long time. Grew up with him. Family.
So we got a lot of OGs in the house. I do want to say a name quick that I think could be there for the Bucs mid to late rounds if we're looking at a linebacker replacement. To get back to Tobias' question, sorry, Tobias had a rush of comments right there, but I'll say Curtis Jacobs, linebacker from Penn State. And I'll say this for two reasons. Jason Light has a history of drafting Nittany Lions in the mid to late rounds and having success. Donovan Smith and Chris Godwin. Those are two Nittany Lion draft picks that Jason Light made in the mid rounds that ended up paying off for this Buccaneers football team. Curtis Jacobs could fit the mold. And one thing, when you get a Nittany Lion, he's ready to go in the NFL. These guys are usually polished. They're usually pros. Hell, they crap their pants on the college football field, but that's more so their head coach's fault. But James Franklin gets these guys ready to play at the next level. Not at his level for some reason, but at the next level. I'd keep my eye on Curtis Jacobs with the Bucs very closely. J-Lo, you have any linebacker prospects day 2 or day 3 to keep an eye on outside of Curtis Jacobs? And what's your thoughts on Curtis Jacobs, if you have any?
Curtis Jacobs is new to me. I'm not too familiar with him, but you being a Penn State fan, I'll trust your word on it. He would be a bad pickup. I like the dude from NC State.
That might have something to do with it too.
But the dude from NC State, I like him. He could be a second round pick. I think the dude from Michigan, I think he's a little underrated. He could be a third round pick if you really want to go linebacker. As far as that goes, but I'm fine with the linebacker group we got going. With Levante David being back, I think he can lead this young group of linebackers to be ready for Sunday. I'm really.
How about James Williams from Miami?
He's a big hitter. He's definitely a big hitter, and that's awesome. But I heard that he's not consistent, though. That's the only thing.
Kind of like a Mark Barron, he reminds me of safety, linebacker, inconsistent.
Yes, absolutely.
But we'll see where that goes. We have, and we are going to say this, starting April, I'm not sure the format yet, how many picks per show, but we're going to do something cool here on the Buccaneers. We're going to do from April 1st until the night before the NFL draft. that Wednesday. We'll either end it that Tuesday or Wednesday, but we're going to be bringing you live mock drafts with other personalities from other podcasts, beat writers, team covers, podcast people, just fans of teams in general. We're going to be having a lot of cool guests on the Buccaneers and be having people make teams or picks for their teams or favorite teams, who they pod for, who they cover for. So it'll be a real fun time. We're going to do the whole first round, and we're going to take it serious. Whenever a team makes a pick, they're off the board, and we're going to prep the next guy coming on the show. Hey, these guys are all gone already. So we're going to make our official Buccaneers mock draft with a bunch of different people in it. And then we're all going to give our own little Bucs thoughts and hopes as well, obviously. But that'll be a lot of fun coming into the NFL draft. Seeing mock with Brock Bowers dropping to us. To allude to, Buck, what you heard Gene's point earlier, Jason Light does take best player available at times. We've seen it with guys like OJ Howard. I remember when OJ Howard was hanging there, he's like, I'm just going to go ahead and take this guy. Kyle Trask, I'm a firm believer in that. I think Vita Vea, too, best guy available. They were like, hey, we're going to go in and get Vita Vea. Devin White, same sort of situation, I think, with him. Jason Light definitely isn't afraid to take best player available. So if Brock Bowers did drop to us, I wouldn't be shocked if Jason Light pulled the trigger on a guy like him. What say you, Gene? I mean, I doubt Brock Bowers does drop, but if he did, I think that's an easy pick.
Man, I'm all about self-reflection, and I learned several years ago that I'm horrible at the draft. I leave that to the experts, and I'm self-aware. And so for me, I'll read up on him just so I understand, and I'm not questioning why did we get him, but as far as picks go, man, I'm the last. That's the blind leading the blind right there, man. I just kind of go with the flow.
It's impossible. It's like throwing darts at a board. And Gene, while we still have you here, before you get going, because man, it's your Saturday payroll, so I got to pay you triple for anything longer than what we're running at right now. But just give us your weekend thoughts, plans, whether it's March Madness, free agency, baseball around the corner, hockey season. Just kind of give us your sports lowdown, brother. It's been fun chatting.
Hey, man, it's all about the Rays, and I'm definitely keeping my eye on the tournament. Getting excited because football's coming back around with the new league. I'm really looking forward to that because I'm jonesing for football. So definitely, just kind of. Actually, tomorrow I plan on just carving out some time to get familiar with all the teams and the players, and just so I'm ready to go because I'm all in on this. I love the fact that we can have spring football, and I think that anybody that tries to compare this to the NFL is fooling themselves. This league, they know what they are. Okay, they're not in competition with the NFL, so get that out of your head. It's just another outlet for football until we get to the main course. So get out there and enjoy it. Football's here in the spring. Get familiar with the team and enjoy yourself. But that's pretty much it, man. Just being lazy, work all week and getting prepped for the show on Monday and getting ready to roll.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that on Monday as well. And that's the thing. The UFL is more, if it hits its end goal, it's going to serve as a great feeder league, right? Because these guys are going to be able to go out there and ball, and then the NFL is going to get a little audition from these guys, and it's going to help out the NFL, if anything. It's not in competition with them. It's serving as a helping hand. So, Gene, good stuff there. And I do have our teams written down somewhere. We did all pick teams to kind of get behind for the season a couple weeks back on the Buccaneers. So
before you do, is it still early? I'm switching to San Antonio.
Oh, wow. Gene is on the move already and switching to San Antonio. Okay. Hey,
I'm taking my talents to San Antonio.
Hey, I'm a DC defender, so bring it on whenever we go to battle. It's on, brother.
All right.
All right, Gene, you enjoy your weekend. Thanks for stopping by. And, yeah, we'll see you Monday, my man. It's going to be another fun one.
Real quick, I want to thank all the listeners, everybody that's taken time, because the show wouldn't be anything without you. I appreciate your jumping in and holding these conversations because it makes it fun for all of us. So thank you guys, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. We reiterate that times 1,000. If it wasn't for people commenting, that's what we build our show off of, fans commenting. You know, we love to do that. We kind of have a structure, but we also love to dive deep into a lot of fans comments, which you know, a lot of people don't, you know, a lot of pods out there don't go into other Bucks fans comments besides their own. So you know, that's one thing we love. And if it wasn't for you guys, and if it wasn't for you guys stopping by and hanging out with us, wouldn't be nearly as fun and wouldn't be nearly as eventful. So thank you to the Tobiases, the CJs, the Olivias, and everybody else who makes
Yes.
it happen, like Gene said.
All right, Mean Gene.
All right, guys. Y'all be easy.
Yes, sir.
You too, Gene. Take care, buddy.
That's a great Gene from the Great Buck What You Heard podcast, now a Buccaneers contributor and affiliate as well. A couple comments and questions, and Gene's a man. Those J-Lo, by the way, great shows last week without me. You and Gene took over for a couple days, and those are two fun ones. I've seen you guys had Rhett from Cannon Fire on as well.
Oh yeah, that was dope, man. Rhett's a good dude, man. Like I said, I watch his show a lot on Cannon Fire podcast. Shout out to them. Yeah, man. Gene's one of the best in the biz, man. He's just a great speaker, and you know, like I said, I enjoy potting with him.
Huncho, Donovan Smith comment. CJ says I hated Smith, LOL. Well, Donovan Smith, to me, like Devin White, he did provide the Bucks dividends. I know it wasn't exactly all as hoped, cherries and pie, cherry pie in the sky all the time, but let's be honest, Donovan Smith was a successful draft pick. I don't think anybody could convince me otherwise.
Yeah, Donovan Smith definitely was. He had his ups and his downs, but he got us through the hard times, and you know he held us back at some times. But for the most part, he did come through, and he was there on the team when we won the Super Bowl. So I believe that he was a key piece, and he played a major role in that when Tom Brady first arrived. And I also believe he was overpaid at times for his play. So that was one of the main reasons he was let go. And as you can see, he's still a free agent to this day. So, I mean, kind of, he's right now, Donovan Smith, he can retire probably and have a decent resume. 2 Super Bowls, played with Brady. I mean, you made some good money. I mean, what else? What else do you have to play for? I mean, hats off to him. I just wish him the best. He's a great guy, great personality off the field, and I just wish him the best.
Yeah, I agree. And you never know if the Chiefs do end up swooping back for a guy like Donovan Smith now that they got that L'Jarius Sneed money off the books. And wow, what a blockbuster that was, guys. If you guys missed it last night, whether you were fully indulged in buttery popcorn sitting on the couch, opening a Fanta Pop and watching March Madness, and you let it slip by, or you've been tired because the Lightning have been on a West Coast trip and you just can't keep up at night, the Titans made a huge splash, landing Super Bowl champ, one of the best defenders in the game, L'Jarius Sneed. And all they had to give up was a third and a 7th-round pick swap. But at the same time, that's a great move for the Chiefs because L'Jarius Sneed wasn't going to play for them most likely because they weren't going to give him that contract that he wanted. Shortly after his trade, signed a 4-year, $78 million or so extension in Tennessee. I got to tell you guys, I've been a big fan of what the AFC South has done this offseason, but J-Lo, the Titans, to me, they've been making some sneaky good moves. Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, L'Jarius Sneed. You know, that's some interesting moves right there.
Oh yeah, no, I mean Titans are making pretty solid moves, and I think they can compete in their division between the likes of Texans, Jags, and who was in the division? The Colts, right? Yeah, the Colts. Yep. So that was a huge move, especially for what they had to give up for them. Next year's 3rd and a 7th this year. What a steal! I think
and getting a 7th back as well.
Oh, even better. I mean, I think he's going to contribute well for that team. The big question is, can Will Levis deliver? I mean, he's going to have D-Hop back, I think, for another season. And then he's going to have Calvin Ridley to help contribute. So they're slowly coming up. And I think they'll be much better than they were last season.
Yeah, and Pop says, is Snead really that good? No all pros, I don't believe. Well, cornerback's kind of a weird position when it gets into all pros and all that stuff. But yes, L'Jarius Snead is really that good. And let's remember, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year based on defense. I know Patrick Mahomes had some really good moments and some really good plays, but Huncho, without the Chiefs having guys like Big Jones clogging up the middle or Big Snead in their secondary, I don't know if they could have won that Super Bowl last year. And they've given up on guys before in years past, which ended up paying off. They punted guys like Honey Badger to the curb so they could keep a guy like L'Jarius Snead around all this time. He was a 4th-round pick in 2020, so he was just a free agent now, 2-time Super Bowl champion, and he's just a really good defender, has a good knack for the football. So I think he's on his way of becoming that top 2 to 3 corner in the NFL, which could change quickly. I think defensive back, cornerback specifically, is the one room that's kind of rotating musical
Shifting a lot.
chairs.
And that's exactly where I was going to go with it. With that position, it typically changes year by year, and you have a standout player 1 year, and next year he
Like
might
Carlton, right?
right. It typically goes up and down, and it fades away, and it comes back, and you have 1 or 2 great years, and then they just fizzle out. Tre'Davious White, he's still a free agent, and I know it's mainly because he was injured a lot, but he was once touted as one of the best defensive backs in the league. And now up to date, you don't even hear as much going around, and he's a free agent. So, you know, you just those 10 things typically come and go, and maybe the Chiefs maybe got to jump on it a little too early, but I'd rather get a jump on it a little too early than too late. You understand?
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. I'd rather get on it too early than too late. But yep, very musical cherish type of position. As Tobias says, Titans offseason is really good so far. JLo, I want to ask you next. Some draft comments. Williams would be huge, hybrid linebacker, safety, Jeremy Lin type guy. Do you like that comparison?
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, one's got good speed. The only thing I'm just concerned is the inconsistency. I'd be like Devin White all over again. That's the only thing I'd be concerned about. I wouldn't knock it if he got drafted here, but hopefully it'd be more of like a 4th, or maybe if he falls that far, then yeah, he'd be a steal in the sits. Because I think we still got one more sits, so I wouldn't knock him, but at the same time, I just wouldn't see him as a starting linebacker right away. He would be a development guy like KJ Brett.
Yeah, and then he says Tyron Hopper from Missouri he would like as well. Tyron Hopper's intriguing to me. I think he's one of those guys who couldn't make splash plays, couldn't make football plays. He's an intriguing physical linebacker body type. I like the mold of him, so I wouldn't be opposed to maybe giving a look at him. I wouldn't be shocked if, he's...
I got a question for you, Tones.
Yeah, what's up, Hunch?
Do you think we go quarterback any rounds of this draft this year, or we're just gonna strictly BPA it?
See, when I'm looking at our draft, I view our quarterback room. You got Baker Mayfield for 3 years, and that might only be 2 based on how that all shakes out. Hell, it might only be 1. Let's hope not, because that means something would probably have to go horribly wrong if it's only 1. But we'll see how that shakes out. And he's going to be here. I don't know if he's necessarily the future of all futures, but he's going to be here for the short term. I'd say 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, we're committed at this point, and we're going to basically ride this thing out and see how he progresses through the years. And
correct.
He develops.
But that doesn't maybe shy me away from a quarterback, because I look at the rest of the room. To me, John Wolford is okay. John Wolford re-signed, so he's back. He's kind of assuming himself into that QB3 for life role as long as he's with the Bucs, right? He's going to bring knowledge to the quarterback room, experience to the quarterback room. Now you look at it like this. Kyle Trask entering the final year of his rookie contract, so we're paying him cheap money right now, especially in terms of modern day backups. I think at the end of this year, I don't think he's going to get crazy money, but I think he's going to go somewhere where he may, even if it's a 5% chance to start, I think Trask is going to go somewhere after the season, leave Tampa, try and find an opportunity somewhere, whether it's to be a really, really, really high-end backup or to be in a competition for starting battle. And I think that opens a door for the Bucs to potentially draft a quarterback this year. Now, where that problem could go wrong is if you draft a QB, you're probably not going to carry 4 on the active roster. And that means you've probably already talked to a guy like Wolford and said, hey, you're going to be the new Ryan Griffin, which means we're going to practice squad you. We're going to reserve you on the practice squad. And, we're going to hold you tight on the practice squad. So if you get offered to go elsewhere, you can't really leave. Are the Bucs going to do all that? Are they going to have 4 QBs this year? Not sure, but I could get the reasoning why, especially with Trask likely out next year, Wolford kind of just looming around. Maybe you trade Trask. I don't think anyone would give up too much for him. Maybe you get a 7th rounder for Trask. I'm not really sure you could even get that. So to me, Trask is more valuable hanging on to this year, using him as a cheap backup, letting him leave next year, and then kind of getting I would wait till literally the 7th. I would maybe draft one in the 7th hunch. I would look at Larry from Kentucky, where, Liam Cohen just came from in the 7th. And I do that for a multitude of reasons. He would bring familiarity to the offense. It'd actually be going backwards. He would actually be helping other people learn Liam Cohen's offense, maybe like a Kyle Trask and Wolford was with Cohen as well. So just kind of funny. But yeah, I think Larry could pay dividends in round 7, or I wouldn't mind looking at a guy like Milton. If I'm taking one in round 6 or 7, I'm swinging for the fences and taking just a high upside guy who, sure, he might never pan out, but hey, at least he could be a capable backup next year, but one that you could easily cut ties with as well. Because right now, you kind of feel like you're stuck a little bit with Trask. It's like, man, we used a 2nd round pick on this guy. They haven't really seen what they have from him. So is he a starter? Probably not, but who the hell knows? Is he a lifelong backup? Probably, but who the hell knows? But J-Lo, I feel like they kind of want to avoid using a high pick on a QB to avoid that problematic problem. If anything, I'd look for round 7, either Milton or Larry. That would be my guess, J-Lo. Yeah, J-Lo has to take a call quick. But Hunch, did you get all that? Round 7, I would go quarterback.
Yeah, if it's one out there, I'll definitely go round 7 quarterback. But it really, I don't know if knowing Jason's track record that we might even have a 7th round pick, because he might use that to move up in the draft and take someone that he might feel is about to get swiped off. So and that deep down with a quarterback, I'm not sure. And like you stated with Wolford, he's pretty much in a good spot. He knows this offense. I think him and our OC, Liam Cohen, he has chemistry with him, familiarity he has with him. So that's something to build on, something like last year with Baker Mayfield and with the offense. So I think he was doing phenomenal and he was doing good until he got injured last year. And I think he would have been our number 2 backup behind behind Baker Mayfield last year if things came down to it. But he got injured. So yeah, and far as it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things to take away from this draft and walk away with. A lot of positions to fill, whether you're talking up front, in the middle, or in the back. And it's mainly my concern is defense. So first and foremost, that defensive line, and it's a lot of holes that's there with Devin White leaving and Shaq Barrett leaving and Carlton Davis leaving. Those are key pieces that need to be filled. And I don't know if they're all going to be starter caliber people that we bring in. And it's still early. We got free agency still here. We still have some good players out there that's out there on the board, and they might be willing to take a cheap number if they see something in the Bucs, the state-free, tax-free state. Whatever we can do to get them to come down here and play for us and give us a shot, because we still pretty much have that same offense and defense and the key players that help us win that Super Bowl, minus Tom Brady and, of course, Devin White, a few others. But the culture is still here. And I think we just need to try to get some plug and play people in here, like Jason Light did last year in the draft. He brought a bunch of guys in here that exceeded expectations, and if he can do that again, then he's setting himself up down the line to have a very good, solid football team that contend with keeping a lot of house money to play with instead of going out there and spend a lot of money on free agency, like I see a lot of these teams doing to win the Super Bowl.
And I agree with you, Hunch, 100%. Speaking of agree, I disagree. Jordan Travis, FSU round 5 or 6. I would avoid Jordan Travis. He just suffered a huge injury. I like the kid a lot, but a little bit of an experiment to me if I'm drafting a guy who just got injured. And, that's a crucial injury for anyone, but quarterback specifically. And then Bucks Rays Bolt says, hope Bucks trade for Reddick. He's on his way somewhere. I don't really want to give up draft capital.
I just read that.
What?
Reddick, he's might be getting traded, but they're saying the Falcons and the Cardinals are the teams to watch. And the Falcons has been loading up pretty heavily this year with trying to make a run, minus the Kirk Cousins signing. But other than that, they've been trying to make a push with signing these guys, and we'll see.
I think the Bucs made a really good coaching move, Hunch and J-Lo. I like this one. Justin Peele, the Bucs hired to be their tight ends coach, and that kind of made Van Dam shift to an offensive assistant, which could kind of help his stock build as he pushes for an offensive coordinator role down the road. And it helps continuity by keeping Van Dam around, but at the same time, we had a really, really good tight ends coach, and Justin Peele was in the league for over a decade, spent time with the Chargers, the Dolphins, the Falcons, the 49ers, and the Steelers. As a coach, he won the Super Bowl with the Eagles as their tight ends coach. He was the Falcons tight ends coach the last 3 years, and they had a really good season under rookie tight end Kyle Pitts a couple of years back. Jonnu Smith had his most receiving yards ever in a year last year in Atlanta as a tight end. Huncho, I'm pretty excited about this move, and at the end of the day, kind of makes sense because Todd Bowles has a type, right? He was a former player in this league. I feel like Todd Bowles, for a lot of positions, is trying to go with former players as much as he could. For example, our special teams coordinator, Thomas McGaughey, former NFL player. Our new O-line coach, Kevin Carberry, former NFL player. New wide receivers coach, former NFL player. Now we get Justin Peele, tight ends coach, former NFL player. So, Huncho, I feel like, Bowles likes that. Like Casey Rogers, he was a former NFL player as well.
A lot of those guys, I feel like that's the best experience that you can get if they had good careers, or if they can experience, they have experience with knowing certain things, and when they see tendencies and certain things, so they probably can get through with the players and have a better relationship to teach them the position more. And as you can see, our tight end position has been okay, but it can step up a notch. I believe that we should bring another tight end too. Our tight end, he's been doing good. His name is right there. I can't. What's his name? Tones.
Who you thinking of, Hunch? What
our number one tight end, the kid.
Cade Otton.
Yeah, and he's been doing pretty good and stuff. But I think we can step it up a little more and add a little more competition there also. So hopefully Peele can squeeze every juice we got out of the tight end position and bring in some more competition.
Yeah, we surely might add a veteran tight end, I feel like, more than anything. I mean, I guess maybe if Brock Bowers falls, but I really don't see us drafting a tight end, at least in the high rounds, because we got Cade Otton, Keith, Payne Durham. They're all on rookie contracts still. Maybe you bring in a cheap veteran tight end to that room, try and expunge the most out of him, and see what happens. J-Lo, you there, brother? And if you are, what are your thoughts on this coaching hire?
I think it's a good hire. More experience in the coaching staff, and it was a little later on. Like a week or so after free agency started. So, but I'm all for it. I'm all for adding more depth, more experience coaching in the tight end room, because obviously we're going to go with the same young group again, because all the vets that I was hoping we'd go after are already signed with other teams.
We'll probably sign like a cheap one. Like last year we got that David Wells guy. I imagine us doing something like that eventually.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And as far as the question about the drafting the quarterback, I know I got a phone call ring, but at quarterback, I think it's just best to wait till later rounds, like seventh, or just go pick an undrafted one. Spencer Rattler catches my attention from South Carolina. I think he's going to be a steal wherever he goes. I mean, he has a lot of upside, I feel like, and he's got a hell of an arm. So I'll be really interested to see where he goes and who he works under as far as that goes, quarterbacks. But that's the tight ends coach. I like it. Solid hire, topples, making good moves. He's improving each year. So I'm very happy how Bowles has gotten better over the last, 3 or 4 years. Coach as a head coach, for the most part, putting together a strong staff.
Yeah, and Bucks have been bringing a couple players back as well. Obviously, Levante David was made official yesterday. John Wolford did re-sign about a week ago, and then long snapper, our starter since Bruce Arians got here in 2019, Zach Triner also re-signed yesterday. J-Lo, quick thoughts on Zach Triner, bringing him back into the Bay and bolstering another starting position re-signing.
Oh, I mean, that's what we've been about this offseason is bringing back our own guys. Familiarity, continuity. Is that Triner? He's been with us for a long time, and I'm glad he's back. And then Levante David, he's a true leader. I love what Jason Light said about Levante David during the press conference. He sets a standard for what the Bucs are looking for in a leader. So props to Jason Light and Levante David. I just love that guy. He's very quiet outside the locker room, but inside the locker room, he's just a natural leader, and I'm just glad he's back.
And I'm glad a lot of these guys are back as well. I'm very much looking forward to Zach Triner. He's had an interesting journey. He's earned his way to becoming a long snapper in this league. He's a really good guy off the field, but he's 33 years old. When the Bucs brought him in to be their long snapper, never even played a regular season game before, spent time with the Jets and Packers practice squads, but when the Bucs brought him in 2019, he was already 28, 29 years old, never played an NFL snap before. Just incredible story with Zach Triner, as when he was brought to the Bucs, he signed a reserve future contract and then eventually made the team out of training camp. So good stuff there. Bucs raise bolts. Which DN like draft guy, FSU, or I mean, it depends. It really all depends. Bucs raise bolt. It's hard to tell who's gonna fall, who's gonna be there, who's gonna step out above the rest. So it's hard to tell right now. Hard to decipher what edge will be there. But I think it's hard to pass up on a very good edge that falls that late. But we'll see if one does fall that late, and we'll see if that does shake out like that. And just to look around the NFL, nothing too much going on here outside of Bucs land, but we did obviously bring in some other guys and defenders and offensive line depth in the past week or so as well, which was awesome. J-Lo, out of the newcomer signings on this Bucs team, who are you most excited for? And if you could bring one guy back on this list who is still an unrestricted free agent at this point of the Bucs, who would you bring back? And that list goes as followed: Pat O'Connor, Ryan Neal, Cam Gill, Will Golston, Matt Filer, or D. Delaney.
I'm gonna say Patrick O'Connor. I'd love to have him back. I think he was a great, rotational player and a special teamer in the locker room. And the most one I'm excited for is Jordan Whitehead being back. I mean, I think that was just tremendous, work by Jason Light, bringing back somebody who is familiar with the defensive system. And I'm looking forward to seeing him and Winfield Jr. playing together. And I feel that we're going to see a lot more turnovers. I think we're going to see some more turnovers coming from those two.
Hunch, what say you? Out of all the Bucs moves, who do you
I
like the
agree.
most?
I agree. Patrick O'Connor, he plays a role, and since J Lo he stated him, I'll go more so of D Delaney. He's had some stepping times when he came in for cornerback, because that's typically where we go down at in the season, and he came in and he had played some pretty good games. I believe that was last year when he had an interception or something like that. But definitely in the back. back down there in the backfield. With cornerback, I like D Delaney, and if he can stay put, I'll do that. Also, Will Golston, he's a run stopper and he's an OG. I want him to retire a Buck also.
Yeah, I love Will Golston or Pat O'Connor if I could choose. But Pat O'Connor, he was on the practice squad and roster, kept getting back and forth last year. But both of those guys have been Bucks forever, specifically Golston. So I'd go Golston or Pat O'Connor down that route, fellas. It is already almost at that hour mark here. J-Lo, Huncho, any last words or thoughts for the program? J-Lo, we'll start with you, brother. Any last words, final words here on this beautiful Saturday for the Buccaneers?
Yeah, man, enjoy the weekend. We got a lot of college basketball going on, and then plus the Lightning play late tonight, so that'll be fun to watch. I think they're playing LA Kings, so the Lightning just got to keep going. They've been on a hot win streak right now ever since the trade deadline, so looking forward to playoff hockey.
Looking forward to it as well, and the Lightning are ramping up their playoff run here. It seems like they're playing really good West Coast ball. I think 5 in a row wins-wise. Bucks Rays Bolt says he'd bring Cam Gill back, Super Bowl champ here. Huncho, final words or thoughts for the program?
Yeah, I'll just say keep an eye out. I think our free agency isn't done, and a lot of people feel like, well, I've seen a few fans, they feel like the Bucks haven't really been doing too much, but they need to understand we have done a lot bringing these key guys back that was already with this organization, and these are key foundational pieces to keep this team in a position to continue to win and go into the playoffs and make a run towards another Super Bowl. These are foundational pieces. You got Mike Evans, you bring it back Jordan Whitehead, Levante David, key pieces and little additions that they made in cornerback. I feel like we're not done. It's a lot of more free agency guys out there that's time. They're more so of another tier of guys that Light has done in the past, brought those guys in and they've contributed. I don't want to see another guy come in at the safety position, another position like Neil, whatever. Do not bring another guy in like him. He was an epic fail. And I think Jordan Whitehead kind of shores up that position more. So I really feel like we need to focus on the linebacker position and the edge right now. So we'll see. Light's always cooking, so we'll see what's to come about.
We surely will, guys. And just want to mention briefly as well, Shaq Barrett did have a couple suitors out there, Jets, Dolphins. So for those Bucks fans that were hoping to bring him back, seems like he was going to get a payday no matter where Mr. Shaq Barrett landed. J-Lo, Huncho, and Gene was here as well. And on behalf of the great Cats, Stunna, and Bucko, who weren't able to join us, it's been a great episode of the Buccaneers. As always, fire the damn cannons, touchdown Tampa Bay. Kyle Trask runs it into the end zone. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year because that means Baker's either hurt or playing bad. But nonetheless, touchdown Tampa Bay. It's been a wonderful Saturday special, gentlemen. You guys enjoy your weekend. We'll circle back on Monday.
Stay safe, man. I'll see you Monday. Go Bucks.
Stay safe, fellas. Go Bucks. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Let's go. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. I played with Rock, and anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little.
No, my camera's broke.